Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kings of Fantasy Football. I'm your co-host Pablo, and here's my co-host.
Leo.
So, in today's episode, we are going to discuss waiver wire pickups for Week 5 coming up here in a few days. So let's kind of dive right in and start with quarterbacks. So the quarterback that I recommend that you pick up if you don't already have him. I'm surprised of his roster percentage, so he's only 41% rostered, is Matthew Stafford of the Rams. Blew up last week, 375 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Um, and Puka Nakua is just, the wide receiver one so far, so as long as he has those healthy weapons, he even got Tutu involved in that long touchdown to win the game. But yeah, 41% rostered. He's kind of been quieting me as a critic because I remember I said not to draft him before the season started because of his back injury, but it seems like his back's no longer a problem. So definitely would target Stafford, especially if you're, Lamar Jackson owner, you've been banged up as far as the quarterback position. Maybe even if you need some depth, I definitely recommend targeting Matthew Stafford. What about you, Leo?
All right. Well, now that the bye weeks begin, now it starts getting interesting. So we have to start try to dig a little deeper, go down the totem pole there, see what we can find. So the first guy, well, I'm gonna recommend a few guys, but this first guy is here in my hometown is Tua Tagovailoa. Obviously, it sucks with the bad news that that we lost Tyreek Hill for the year, but uh, that still didn't stop Tua. He was still able to pass for 177 yards and a couple of touchdowns against the Jets last night. And there is his upcoming game this week is going to go up against the Carolina Panthers, who just gave up 27 fantasy points to Drake May. And so this, like I said, with all the buys that are coming and all the injuries that we've got going on, Tua might be someone to look at there. A couple of guys further down, um, another guy that lost his number one receiver, Jackson Dart, but he did have a nice game. He has a nice matchup against the Saints this week. What's good about Jackson that he can also rush. He rushed for 54 yards. So that in his first game, had a couple of touchdowns. So he does have that dual threat. With him, like I said, just sucks that he lost my league neighbors, but with the other guys that he has there, and he has a nice matchup, maybe he can help you out there. And if you want to start starting this guy here, I think I did hear some news that he might be the starter this week. And like I said, this is for deeper leagues, and it's just a Dylan Gabriel. It looks like they might be turning the page on Joe Flacco and try to start seeing what they have in their stable there between him and Shadur. So, but first up, it looks like Dylan Gabriel looks like he's gonna start. And like I said, when you're in a super flex league with all these buys, someone to look at down there deep.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised with Dart, um, but he got the win. As a rookie QB, it's not hard, especially against the Chargers. So, um, recommend, like you said, especially now with bye weeks and everything. So moving on to running backs, the running back that I would target, and I wish I would have woken up early enough this past Sunday to get him, and this is Kenneth Gainwell of the Steelers. He blew up 134 total yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 receptions. He's only 44% rostered. So again, I wish I would have woken up early enough to get him. I think because of that performance, even when Warren comes back, he's kind of proved that he should be getting some of the carries. So definitely would target Gainwell as running back. What about you, Leo?
Yeah, Gamble was a little bit sneaky too because he's on a bye this week. So if someone starts searching for them, who's gonna like projections for this week. he might not even show up because he's, it's going to be show zero because since he's not playing. So it might be a little sneaky way of getting him for sure. The first guy I want to talk about is, someone near and dear to your heart, and I'm sure it gave you a little Woody this past weekend, and that's Woody Marks. Um, yeah, it looks like that he's gonna be looks like they're going that way. Even though Chubb still had his carries and touches, he had a very nice game this week. Scored over 30 points, fantasy points. Um, he had 17 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown, 4 receptions, 50 yards and a touchdown on 5 targets. So he was a dual threat. And this week they go up against Baltimore that everyone's been lighting them up on the ground. So definitely look at Woody Marks. A couple other guys to look at. There is I don't know what's the status of Bucky Irving, but they are saying that he is going in for an MRI. I think it's for his ankle. I haven't heard any details, but if that's the case, we don't to try to get ahead of things. Maybe pick up Sean Tucker or Rashad White. Depending on your situation. So those are a couple of guys to look at there. Um, I don't know if you've noticed, Derrick Henry's kind of been a little shaky lately, fumbling and not as productive. And now that Lamar Jackson might not be around for a couple of weeks, they might fall behind. So someone maybe to look at also is Justin Hill, that he's been very good in PPR leagues. Uh, Tajay Spears is another guy that I think once he comes back, he's on IR still. You can probably pick him up and stash him there until he comes back. So there's a couple of guys there to look at there in deeper leagues.
Yeah, I think Mark's probably going to be one of the higher targets on everyone's radar. He's kind of slowly but surely been getting more touches. I think finally this last week he outtouched Nick Chubb. So for Nick Chubb owners, probably not a good sign, but it's definitely someone to target. And yeah, as far as Bucky Irving, being a Bucky Irving owner, I'm a little bit scared. Not sure if I'm gonna pull the trigger on one of his backups just yet. But yeah, something definitely to monitor. Now, moving on to wide receivers. If you if the you don't or if someone in your league doesn't already have someone to target, pretty obvious. But he's still only 65% owned. It's Wan'Dale Robinson with the Malik Neighbors injury. Kind of gets catapulted into that wide receiver one kind of role. Jackson's start behind center. Who knows how he's gonna do? He didn't have a huge game against the Chargers, but again, now moving forward, he's definitely going to get a lot more looks. So that's definitely wide receiver I would target. What about you, Leo?
Yeah, so kind of like what I mentioned a little earlier, the wide receiver position has been decimated by injuries. We lost Malik Neighbors this week. Tyreek Hill. We had already lost CeeDee Lamb for with an ankle, and like I said, the list goes on and on. So a lot of injuries that are going on, and like with the buys, it makes it even more deeper that we have to look for and score the waiver wire. So first guy I'm going to talk about is probably Malik Neighbors' replacement. I know Wan'Dale Robinson will probably be more of a PPR guy, but Darius Slayton I think is someone to pick up there. He should be available in most of your leagues. I think he's only 3% rostered, if that, and it should be more available to pick up. And he had 4 targets for 44 yards after Neighbors left. So that's just something to look at there. Little deeper, we have Malik Washington that he has the speed that some have. Obviously, he doesn't have Tyreek Hill speed, but he's someone to that's also like 3% rostered as well that you might easily find on the waiver wire. They're gonna need some help to a lot of targets are available now with him departing, with Hill departing for the year with his unfortunate injury. So someone to look at there. This is like a rookie, kind of like a deep player. Actually have him on my dynasty league, and his name is Isaiah Bond. Cedric Tillman is going to be out for a bit with a hamstring injury. They're saying they might miss several weeks. And yesterday, Isaiah had a decent game. I think he had like 8 fantasy points. And like I said, with them trying to go to the new with the rookies and all that, Isaiah was very highly touted. The thing he just had some off-field issues that he didn't get drafted, but once that stuff got settled, he signed that same day with the Browns. So it's someone to look at there for sure.
I don't think you mentioned this guy, but another receiver to target be Marvin Mims of the Broncos. Last week he had 6 receptions, 85 yards, and 1 touchdown. He's only 32% rostered. And I think that offense is, starting to finally get its rhythm. I know Cortland Sutton owners are extremely happy so far this year. So someone else to look at. Now, moving on to tight ends. Tight end that I would target is Brenton Strange of the Jaguars. Only 33% rostered. So now 2 weeks back to back where he has over 10 points. Last week he was targeted 7 times, 6 catches, 45 yards. And I know for me being a Brian Thomas manager, I wish more of those targets would go to him, but looks like that tight end is that feels safe for Trevor Lawrence. But Julio, what tight end would you target?
Well, I actually went to the Dolphins game yesterday, so I saw the unfortunate injury to Tyreek, but I also saw a resurrection of an old stud tight end, and that's Darren Waller. I actually tried to draft him earlier in this year, but couldn't be patient just with all the injuries going on. Just had to let go of people, but definitely he's gonna probably be the number 1 tight end to go after this week. In his first game with the Dolphins, he was targeted 4 times, had 3 receptions and a couple touchdowns. Only 27 yards, but like I said, that's his first game back. Get his feet wet. Definitely gonna be a monster in the red zone area, goal line, close to the goal line. So he's so huge. Made a nice touchdown at the back of the end zone. So definitely someone to look at there. And that same game, the Mason Taylor, the son of Jason Taylor, had a very very excellent game yesterday. He was one of the most focal points of the game, and for the year I think he was targeted 9 times over the last couple of games, and he's already brought in 9 catches with those 13 targets. So he's someone, like I said, is a deeper player to look at that he's been developing as well.
Yeah, I think Waller's definitely be on everyone's radar as far as tight ends. He's 10% rostered, but he got added 2.8 million times the last few days,
Yeah.
so kind of shows you. Now, what I do want to mention, just because I think we talked about him last week, so Hunter Henry is not a 1 week wonder because against Carolina he still had 39 yards, 2 receptions, but he got a touchdown, so that's pretty much all of his production. So maybe that's somebody that's going to be a weapon for Drake May. So whoever got him last week, congratulations. Hopefully he continues to produce. And then moving on to defenses. So the defense that I would target, even though they did not do so well in their Week 4 matchup against the Rams, I would target the Colts, 18% rostered because they have a more favorable matchup this week against the Raiders. Even though the Raiders' offense finally exploded with Ashton Jeanty and the 3 touchdowns, I don't think that's going to be an every week thing. So maybe they kind of, return to earth more this week. So that's the defense that I would target. What about you?
Yeah, the defense I like to focus if you need some defensive help or defensive streamer. is the Cardinals defense. They're playing the Tennessee Titans this week. That they continue to be one of the best teams to have with your opposing defense. They like I said, they allow a lot of points, turnovers, not scoring as much, and like I said, the team is just still developing. Calvin Ridley, I don't know. Yeah, I think he's on a missing milk carton. So I don't know, but definitely, if you need some help, defensive streamer, the Cardinals is a team to go for.
Yeah, but the thing that I never thought I would say in 2025 was the fact that the Bengals are getting in that same conversation as the Titans as far as, opposing defenses starting against them
Yeah,
because, man, they can't get anything going.
yeah,
I don't know when their bye week is, but if they're not changing uh their quarterback by then, I don't know if they'll have a season for Burrow to even come back and play, to be honest. Um I know I saw a clip where Chase and the head coach, I think, or the coordinator were getting into it on the sideline, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Me being having the Bengals position players, it's been really tough. So that kind of wraps up our waiver wire targets for week 5. To anyone who's 4-0, congrats. And if you're 0-4, well, season's not over just yet, but might need to start thinking about making some moves. If you like the show, please give us a follow, share the episode, friends, family, anyone who's interested in fantasy football. If you have questions, you can reach me on X. That would be at Archreaper, ARCHREAPR. Leo, where can they reach you?
yeah. If you have any fantasy football questions, dynasty questions, start sit questions, yeah, definitely. You could reach me on X as well at Smooth1074.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace.